Let me tell you the story about a Latina American that attends a performing arts school. Many believe she has what it takes to make it shine, and as the story progresses, she engages in a variety of singing, dancing, and acting performances. Tensions run high when she encounters a female student that is very vocal about how much she dislikes our protagonist, but with the help of her black best friend, a geeky musician, and an assorted cast of characters, she learns that breaking into fame is no easy task, and that it requires a great deal of sacrifice, endurance, auditioning, and many, many mistakes. Right off the bat, I'm sure a lot of you recognize this as the plot to Nickelodeon's 2010 sitcom Victorious. But what if I told you I was actually describing the plot to Nickelodeon's 2001 sitcom Taina? That's right, Nickelodeon made Victorious 9 years before they made Victorious. But what the heck is Taina, you ask? Was Victorious just a ripoff of Taina, you wonder? When's the Sam Puckett analysis coming, you clamor? To which I respond with, I'll show you, not exactly, and soon, just be patient. Right now, we're going to compare 5 things between Taina and Victorious. Their protagonist, their supporting cast, their music, their setting, and finally, their presentation. Today we have a tasteful talk about how Taina taught its television network the value of veering towards a very vivacious and victorious protagonist. But which show did it better? Well, let's take a look.
Now, what did you think of my performance?
To be honest,
Step on it, why don't you?
Our main characters, Tori Vega and Taina Morales, have a few obvious similarities. They're both singers that have recently enrolled in an art school. But if you take the comparison a step further, you'll start to notice something very fascinating. The first episode of both Victorious and Taina show that they each have doubts about being there, but for completely different reasons. Tori's doubt comes from being bullied by Jade and intimidated by everyone else's talents, but Taina's doubt comes from humiliation that she brought on herself. I think the biggest fundamental difference between Tori and Taina can be seen most clearly when comparing the lesson Tori learns in Victorious's second episode, and the lesson Taina learns in Taina's first episode. In both episodes, our main characters are put through a drama exercise, where they must figure out the secret to a successful performance. Tori learns that as a performer, she should be confident in her own art and not look for validation from others. But Taina learns that as a performer, she needs to humble herself, and that even though she may think her art is unique, it doesn't automatically mean it's good. Two very opposite and yet very important lessons every performer or artist should know: confidence and humility. Another noticeable difference between Tori and Taina is their goals and desires. I think the biggest problem with Tori Vega's character is the fact that we don't really see what motivates her to do anything. She kinda just does things because that's how she felt that day, which can then lead to both the inconsistencies in her character and the frustratingly entitled nature she gives off. When Tori wants something, she just gets it and moves on to something else. Now, contrast this with Taina, whose number one goal is to be famous.
Look, Shamari's holding auditions in our school.
It says they're looking for a girl to record a song with them.
And I'm the girl, you know what I'm saying? This is my first step on the road to...
How many times have we heard this before?
Yeah, Taina says this a lot, but it helps give us an idea for why Taina does anything, whether it's extremely silly like breaking a 5-hour song and dance record, or extremely outrageous like scamming the local news network. We understand that Taina is desperate for fame and that she's willing to do almost anything for it. Taina is a 14 to 15-year-old idealist who's unaware of the hard work, discipline, and connections required to be a famous singer, while Tori is a 16 to 17-year-old realist who is completely aware of the requirements but just doesn't believe she's capable. But where does this overconfidence or lack thereof come from? Well, Taina's lower middle-class family is extremely loving and supportive, while Tori's upper middle class family is very hands-off and at times uncaring.
Shh, I'm gonna help you through this. Just close your eyes. Now put your arms over your head and lock your fingers.
And Taina's close connection to her culture actually helps elevate her as a character. Episode 3 is literally about family traditions, and without giving away the ending, really gives us an idea of where Taina stands both as a person and with her culture. What does Tori say about her culture?
Yeah, play that funky music, white girl.
You know I'm half Latina.
First point goes to Taina.
Starting this Friday night, I will be performing my own one-woman show called Trina.
Did they post the list for the festival yet? My name is gonna be at the top.
Maritza, you actually wrote a play for the contest?
Yes, my own one-woman extravaganza. Maritza, forever diva.
We're gonna have to drop this class.
Why do you want to drop this class?
Look around, woman. We're surrounded by dudes in tights.
I was gonna wear my thong, but I figured these would be more tasteful.
Trina, oh Trina, Trina, you're staying home tonight. She has to tell her friend with tact that her voice is really whack.
The supporting cast in any TV series can help elevate the show in many ways. I think we can all agree that Victorious has a very strong supporting cast, all of whom likely contributed a great deal to the show's success. If you ask any Victorious fan who their favorite character is, 9 times out of 10 they'll pick someone other than Tori. But how do they fare in comparison to Taina's supporting cast? Well, Taina's supporting cast consists of a lot of characters, many of whom are adults, so, to be fair to Victorious's supporting cast of students, I'm only going to include the students in Taina, which leaves us with Lamar, Renee, Daniel, and Maritza. For all of you Victorians who have never watched Taina, allow me to translate. Lamar is Beck's acting and directing background with Andre's style of humor. Daniel is Andre's talent with Robbie's geekiness. Maritza is Trina's ego with Jade's insecurities. And Renee... honestly, Victorious doesn't have a Renee. But Taina doesn't have a Cat Valentine. Something I mentioned in my previous analysis video, which you can check out in the description below, was the fact that it's easy to describe the supporting cast of Victorious in just 2 words. The same cannot be said about Taina's supporting cast. What I think gives them a bit more depth than Victorious's supporting cast is the fact that they all have different majors. Let me ask you something. What does each member of Victorious major in? Yeah, I know they all kind of do everything, dancing, singing, acting, but if you had to tell me the one thing that each of them excels at, what would it be? Tori would be singing, obviously. Jade's would be singing, right? Kat's would also be singing. Andre's would probably be instruments. Robbie's would probably be ventriloquism, right? But he also sings and plays instruments. Beck's is clearly acting, and Trina's is also acting? Do you notice something here? Sure, Victorious's cast goes to a performing arts school, but a majority of them are singers first, and everything else second. Now, nothing's entirely wrong with that, and I'll explain why in a bit. But where this creates serious issues is when it comes to characters like Beck and Trina. Because Trina isn't a singer, she's often relegated to comic relief, and nothing more. Because Beck isn't a singer, he's kind of just there most of the time. I mean, it really says something when Tori, Jade, Andre, and Robbie are the only characters that show up in every single episode. Did you know that? Huh? Did ya? Everyone in Taina's team majors in something different. Taina's a singer, Renee is a comedian, Lamar is a director, Daniel is a musician, and Maritza is a singer. Yeah, I know Taina and Maritza are both singers, but...
Why am I not singing the lead on the second verse?
Because you can sing, but I can sing.
Because each character brings a different talent to the table, it helps us get a grasp for the type of person they are. Renee, the comedian, wants to make people laugh. Lamar, the director, has a tendency to be a control freak. Daniel, the musician, wants to get along with everyone, and Taina and Maritza both being singers actually helps us understand them by contrast. They both want to be famous, but for different reasons. Taina wants to be famous because she's always dreamt of it. She doesn't see her life working out any other way. But Maritza, oh my gosh. If you think Jade has issues, you've obviously never heard of Maritza. You see, Maritza wants to be a famous singer because she thinks it's the only way to get her stepdad to recognize her. Remember how earlier I said Maritza is Trina's ego with Jade's insecurities?
It's Maritza. Can I speak to my stepfather, please? Hi! I'm so excited about the game. What? Yeah, I understand, but I wanted to go with you. Bye.
Thank you, Whitney.
Whitney? Please. She sweats. I don't. Look, I'm getting a little tired of people screaming every time they see me.
Maritza, I'm so glad you're here.
But you're touching me.
It really shows. But something I think makes Maritza stand out from the rest of Taina's cast is that she never stops being an antagonist. Sure, Jade says she doesn't like anyone, but as Victorious progresses, she's seen warming up to them, singing with them, sitting next to them, generally being a part of the gang. But Maritza never officially becomes a part of Taina's team. The writers actually have to come up with very clever ways to have Maritza anywhere near them, and honestly, I thought it was pretty interesting that she probably has the most traumatic home life, and she never recovers from it. I know I just spoke at great lengths about how strong of a cast Taina has, but if I really had to decide who the winner for supporting cast is here, I'd have to give it to Victorious, and my reason is very simple. Any episode where the whole Victorious gang hangs out together is always a memorable one. That's because the characters interact very well with each other. The biggest problem with Taina's cast is none of them have a very distinct voice, aside from Maritza. And honestly, there were a few times in the show that I wondered, why are they even friends? It really didn't seem believable in a few episodes of Taina, but you could totally see the Victorious gang being friends in real life. Point, Victorious. The next category is music, and, hold up, let me check my notes real quick. Oh. Yeah, hands down, Victorious has a better soundtrack. Don't get me wrong, Taina's soundtrack is good, and because it's so hard to find online, I posted the whole thing on my channel, links in the description below, but Victorious' soundtrack has a lot more variety. Earlier I mentioned how having multiple characters be singers kind of hurts the diversity of talents being shown each episode, but when it comes to a soundtrack, it's the exact opposite. In Taina, only Taina and Maritza are singers, so when it's not one of those two singing on the soundtrack, it's a guest star that appeared in one episode. Victorious, on the other hand, had 3 female singers and 2 male singers. That's perfect for a soundtrack. Different singers can bring different vocal ranges, different embouchures, different tones, different emotions, but most of all, different genres. Sure, a lot of songs in Victorious sound like early 2010s pop songs, but the composers clearly weren't afraid of switching things up every now and then. Listen to Song to You, and then listen to All I Want Is Everything. Listen to Take a Hint, and then listen to Broken Glass. Listen to Give It Up, and then listen to Five Fingers to the Face. The Victorious soundtrack has a bit of everything, and I can only think of a few songs that I dislike. Even the background music and transition sound effects are better in Victorious. If you ever want me to do a critical analysis video about all the songs and sound design in Victorious, I'd be more than willing to. I'd even include musical theory for all my fellow music nerds. The point is, Victorious' soundtrack is full of a lot of hits with a lot of variety and personality, while Taina's, well, I was alive in the early 2000s, so I actually remember what music was trending on the radio, and the way Victorious created music that had trends from 2010's dance pop songs is the same way that Taina created music that had trends from 2001 Latin R&B pop songs. Yes, R&B with Latin percussion was kind of a thing in the 2000s. Now, personally, I prefer music from the early 2000s, but even I can't deny the noticeable lack of versatility in Taina's soundtrack compared to Victorious's. I think the only thing Taina did better for music was its theme song, Gonna Be a Star. I love this song, so much so that I remastered the acoustic audio myself and posted it on my channel. Kind of funny that Taina's theme song is about Taina becoming a star, while Victorious's theme song is about Tori making it shine. Except that that's not all it's about. Victorious's theme song works both as an expository theme tune and an encouragement to the listeners. It alternates between Tori speaking about herself and telling the audience to follow their dreams. Taina's theme song, on the other hand, is her boasting about how great she's going to be someday. Now, this might just be the inner rebel in me, but I actually prefer that. Tori's all like, if you follow your dreams, one day, you too can make it shine. Taina's all like, brother, I was born a star. What you think this is? My name will be in lights, while your name will be in bathroom stalls. Anyway, point victorious. Victorious wouldn't be the same without Hollywood Arts, and Taina wouldn't be the same without Manhattan School of the Arts. Both schools have a wide variety of talented musicians, singers, actors, and dancers. Both schools have a drama teacher that gets more focus than any other teacher. Both schools are conveniently located in an area where our protagonists hang out, and where guest stars can show up from time to time. But where the schools differ is with its treatment of background characters. It's no secret that if you're a student at Hollywood Arts and your name is never said, you're going to be a shrugger. What's a shrugger, you ask?
Yeah, we don't want to be late for Psychowitz.
You're not in Psychowitz's class.
Uh-huh. You probably never noticed me. I'm one of the quiet kids who sits in the back and just reacts to stuff.
You're a shrugger?
Contrast this with Taina, where background characters are actually depicted as people, and if you see a background student in one episode, you may very well see them in another one. But Taina takes it a step further by playing with something that Victorious never does: social status. Early in the show, Taina mentions how hard it is to get a lead role in any play or musical if you're not a senior. Taina and her friends are only in their freshman year. And when we actually meet seniors that go to Manhattan School of the Arts, we can see why they were chosen for lead roles. Some have record deals, others are legitimate TV actors, so yeah, they're going to get the part. Ever notice how in Victorious our main characters always get the lead roles in plays? Or how they're always the center of attention when people visit Hollywood Arts? Yeah, if there is any social status at Hollywood Arts, it seems like the Victorious gang got all of it. They are the popular kids, and because they don't really talk to people outside of their gang, we don't really know what Hollywood Arts is like for the average student. Unless you count Sinjin and Burf. In Season 1 of Taina, she desperately wants a lead role, and by Season 2, where they become sophomores, she finally gets one. Oh, and yeah, there's actually a noticeable progression of time in Taina, where in Victorious, Trina has a birth week, I guess. But there's one more thing that Taina explored that I really, really wish Victorious did, and that's alumni. In Victorious, the only Hollywood Arts graduate we meet is Dale Squires, who went on to become a famous director. Cool. Remember when I mentioned that Manhattan School of the Arts seniors, students who haven't even graduated yet, have record deals and are already on TV? Yeah, I think Taina School has a lot more going for it. But even then, not everything is a perfect fantasy land at Manhattan School of the Arts. Lamar and Daniel meet one graduate student in a later episode, and once he found out what school they went to, he said this.
We're students at Manhattan School of the Arts. It's actually
I went to that bogus school. Yeah, I should be a rock star by now, but 4 wasted years at MSA prepared me for nothing, except training butt burps like you how to butter popcorn.
I don't think you can blame MSA for your career, or lack thereof.
Whoa. You saying I'm not a good musician?
Wow. I guess not everyone that goes to a performing arts school can end up a successful superstar. And I think that's a lot more realistic. Having background characters that matter may not be as funny as Shruggers, but it definitely makes it feel like there is a bigger world around our main characters. Point, Taina. The final category is presentation. You know, things like costume design, cinematography, writing, and creativity. Costume design in Victorious, at times, can be pretty random and inconsistent. Sometimes it can easily be chalked up as the writers not having a clear idea on each character's personality right away. For example, Jade goes from wearing muted colors with a grunge style to wearing a lot of black and purple with a gothic style. She starts off as much more of an asocial, self-isolating bully compared to the antisocial, snarky, gothic rebel we know and love. And the transition kind of just happens. The same can be said about Kat's less feminine wardrobe in Season 1, Tori's less bohemian wardrobe in Season 1, and Andre and Beck's rotating wallet chain. No, seriously, sometimes Beck wears a wallet chain and sometimes Andre does, but they never do at the same time. Trina and Robbie probably have the most consistent costumes throughout the show. That being said, the show wasn't afraid of putting its characters in some nice outfits. Well, everyone except Tori. Tori usually got the short end of the stick here, and no episode shows this better than A Christmas Tori. Rebellious and domineering Jade wears long black sleeves and long red boots with her Christmas dress. Flirtatious and playful Kat wears high heels and reindeer ears with her short-skirted Christmas dress. Tenacious and inspired Tori wears... like, what is that? Taina, on the other hand, bing, bada bing boop, pow. Taina has costumes for days. Look at this! Look at this! Bruh! I'm wearing these! Taina knew its characters well enough to know what they would and wouldn't wear from the get-go. Their fashion helps differentiate them. Taina also had better cinematography. They never shied away from using different camera angles and even just editing cuts to convey a joke a lot better.
Yeah, but you can sing and dance, whereas Maritza has a golden throat with 2 left feet stuck in it.
Yeah, even I can outdance her.
How many shots in Victorious are just shot reverse shot? This person's talking, now this person's talking. How often do we get a fun dynamic shot in Victorious? Like, seriously, it's pretty rare. But Victorious does do a better job with comedy. I could go on for days about all the dirty jokes and double entendres, but Victorious knew how to be funny without those.
Jade asked me to make her eyebrows look nice, so I tried to wax them, but when I took the wax strips off, there was, a problem.
My eyebrows are gone!
No, they're not! I told you they're right here!
Taina had plenty of laughs too.
They seem like stars already.
Ty, we really need to quit slumming with Lamar and get in with them.
Now, what would caviar want with fish sticks?
I know you're trying to rhyme all the words and all, but, there's more to a song than that. I mean, lyrics should reach deep inside and try to express your feelings.
You mean somebody had to reach deep inside to pull out, oops, I did it again?
But I found that even though there are plenty of jokes that seriously had me laughing, the show has a tendency to rely on the same type of jokes. I lost count of how many times Taina and Renee made fun of Maritza's hair. To make up for that though, Taina did something that, again, I really wish Victorious did. Have its characters use their talents outside of school. And I'm not just talking about singing to pay off a debt or singing to get out of prison. I mean using their talents for plenty of other things. One example is Renee using her acting skills to help Taina get a job. Something we never see Beck do. On top of that, Taina wasn't afraid to show what the characters aren't good at. For a good while, we never actually hear Renee sing. But then, when she's paired with Taina and Maritza to sing a song, we finally get to. And... she's bad at it. So the characters have to come up with a way to incorporate Renee without having her sing. I really wish Victorious took more risks like this. So, which show gets the point for presentation? After everything I just said, it may surprise you, but Victorious. You see, while watching Taina, something caught my attention. Taina is always daydreaming about the school life she desires. Most of the time, that fantasy school life is a lot like Victorious. Victorious is the life art students fantasize about. Taina is the life art students actually get. Because of that, Victorious is a lot more iconic. Honestly, who wouldn't want to live in the world of Victorious? You and your friends are all popular and naturally talented. You have enough money for whatever you want, and singing solves everything. In Taina, you're nothing without an agent, social status, connections, and years of practice. Taina being more grounded in reality kind of makes it blend in with other TV shows, but Victorious is willing to go beyond the bizarre and quirky, make it a lot more memorable. So, Victorious wins. Though, I think we learned something today. Just because two shows have the same plot doesn't automatically mean they're rip-offs, and if they ever make a Victorious reboot, I think they should take some points from Taina. Don't be afraid to take the characters out of their comfort zone. Show us more of Hollywood arts and its students, not just our popular main characters. And please, for the love of all that is sane, flesh out Tori Vega. While watching Taina, I kept thinking about how cool it would be if she was the main character of Victorious. Yeah, I know Tori's supposed to be a fish out of water, but how much more interesting would it be if Tori slowly developed a desire for fame after being exposed by all these talented and famous people? The show could then become a commentary on how fame can get to anyone's head, even someone as normal as Tori. But no, instead we get...
You know I'm half Latina.
Wow. This easily wins the trophy for longest analysis video on this channel. I hope you all enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed making it. Thank you all for watching, especially those of you that watched to the end. I know I called this a versus video, but really it's more of a fun comparison. All of Taina is available on YouTube, so I'll leave a link in the description below if you want to watch it. I was going to talk about how Victorious was originally about an arts teen named Alex, and how this is the only footage we have as proof. And I was going to mention the 1980s movie Fame, and how both shows took some inspiration from it. But then this video would be an hour long, and I don't want to bore you guys to death. Speaking of death, I received a whole bunch of copyright claims on my other Victorious videos, which now means I won't be making as much revenue from them. Full disclosure, I've never been exclusively about the money. I make these videos because I love these shows and I love talking about them. That being said, if you really do like these analysis videos and you want to support the channel directly, check out the new merchandise. I recently released 2 special designs for all my Victorians. Every purchase supports this channel and helps me put food on the table. So feel free to browse, and if you have any ideas for merchandise, subscribe and leave a comment below about what you think would make a cool design for merch. My next analysis video will be about Sam Puckett from iCarly, and because she's not from Victorious, I can't call it Victorious Analysis Sam Puckett. The same can be said about Alex Russo, London Tipton, Toph Beifong, Marceline the Vampire Queen, Eric Matthews, Faith Lahani, and many others. So, any character I analyze that isn't from Victorious will be part of a series called Jaynalysis. Until then, I'll leave you with this.